Okay, shalom, shalom. It's the brother Kadash. I want to start off by giving all praises to Yahweh, Bahashem, Yahweh Shai, Bahashem, Rakakadash. Gonna get straight into it. What you're seeing on your screen is just a picture of the movie Nope. This is like one of their little cover photos they had, and what you see is on your screen is a cloud. If you look up to the top, it's actually a cloud, and you see a horse and a lot of debris and stuff like that. Kind of like it's being abducted. It's going up into the cloud. It's being brought up into the cloud. So, I actually went to go see this movie over the weekend, like last Saturday or something like that. Well, I think on this exact day when it came out, yeah. So the 22nd when it came out. So I went to go see the movie, right? Actually, I'm sorry, it was on a different month though, a whole month later. So I've been meaning to see this movie because I seen the previews and I seen the cloud. So that attracted me to the movie because reading the Bible, you hear about things like the Lord is going to come back with the cloud, which we're going to get precepts on it, and the voice came from the cloud. You hear about these things, so I like what they did with this movie. So I'm going to give my breakdown on some of the things that happen in this movie. So it is going to be a spoiler alert, and then get some precepts on it. So starting off, right, of course, what attracted me to the movie is some Israelites, so-called Negroes that this is about, pretty much, right? And their encounter with this UFO. So they're in a UFO hotspot, pretty much. That's what they're saying. So they kind of live out on a farm in the middle of nowhere, and one of the things they notice is that there's a cloud. Start off with his father getting killed because some things, I guess, was ejected out of the chariot, which we know is they're really called chariots, vehicles, right? Chariots of Israel in the Bible, and we're gonna read that, right? And his father gets killed, but just I'm kind of jumping around in the movie, just to get to the main points that I want. And this cloud is in the sky, but it's not moving, and I just seen things like this personally myself. My eyes are always towards the sky, and I'm always seeing things. So this cloud is it's not moving. It's been there, and the other clouds are moving around it, right? And the spiritual thing about that is, just like in the Bible, it shows you how this UFO craft, they cloak themselves in the clouds, and not only that, they could appear to who they want to appear to see them. That was very, very spiritual for me, and I got a precept on that. This is Acts chapter 1, straight to the point, because we didn't pull all these precepts, and we got to keep going. That's the thing in the spirit. This movie was weighing kind of heavy on me to go see it, so I haven't been to the theaters to see a movie in years, but I had to go for this movie. There was other movies out that was competing with it, but I wanted to go see this particular movie because of what it symbolized. Seeing that chariot on the sky, how it came down, like it showed how the chariot could come down silent, like it snuck up on them. It shows how it moves fluently and very fast through the clouds, like it's floating pretty much, like those was like things to see in the spirit. I had a kind of like a heavy spirit on me, seeing that chariot on the big screen move like that, man. And I wanted to yell out in the theaters, Yahweh Bashim, Yahweh Shai, Barakatha, but we in the movie, so you kind of had to play it off, because we know, we've been blessed to be able to know what these UFOs are. Understand a lot of people that was in the theater probably don't know. They probably think it's got something to do with aliens. They kind of put that in the movie too. But I liked it that. And then, well, before I go even further, this is Acts chapter 1 verse 9, right? And now check this out. It says, and when he had spoken these things while they beholded, he was taken up, and a cloud received him out of their sight. This is talking about Yahweh Shai. And while they looked steadfastly towards heaven as he went up, behold, two men stood by them in white apparel, which also say, Ye men of Gilead, why stand ye gazing up into heaven? This same Yahushai which is taken up from you into heaven shall so come like manner as ye have seen him go like into heaven. Kind of like how this horse is being taken up into the clouds, the sky, this heaven, and this form means the skies, right? So he's being taken up into this cloud, but it's not a cloud which is just vapor and mist. It's actually a vehicle that was in it, and you see it in this movie. So Jordan Peele, whatever his name is, I guess that directed this movie, or whoever gave him the idea, it's obvious that two things, that either they read the Bible or they've been paying attention to, the brothers that's in this truth, Israel, whoever it may be, videos they then came across of breaking down the clouds and the chariots and the UFOs in the Bible, breaking this thing down. And they did a great job at putting, I'll recommend you go watch this video, especially if you're in this truth. The spirit gonna be on you heavy, because they did a great job at putting this in this movie. How the chariot be in the cloud, in the cloud it get darker and darker because the chariot was coming down, how it was so big, how it could move fast. Another big thing is it used the tornado to bring up, whatever it was bringing up, whatever it was adopting, it used a tornado to do it. So it was like a whirlwind. And where do you get that from? You get it from the Bible. And this is 2 Kings chapter 2. And it kind of shows and it kind of proves, right, like that these movies are being made based off the Bible. Even modern day movies that was made in 2022 is being based off the Bible. So the things we've been saying are not in vain, and it's funny because it's like people, especially our people that's not woken up to the truth, they love to shit on the Bible and say they don't follow the Bible and they don't believe in the Bible and everything, but then they love movies like The Avengers, which is based off the Lord and Yahushua and how he's coming back in the Bible. They watch movies like Nope, which is based off the Bible. You're gonna go watch Black Panther: Wakanda Forever when it comes out in November, which is based off biblical stories. So everything you really do, you go join gangs like Gangster Disciples, GD, which the literature was based off what? The law, statutes, and commandments. So it's funny, I find that very funny. But like I said, one of these things that this clause did, the cloud, which was a UFO in it, which we know is called Chariots of Israel, Chariots of the Lord, right? Right, it took up whatever it was beaming up, whatever it was adopting, it took it up by a tornado. So a tornado came down, and then you would see like a person or a horse swirling in a tornado going up into the cloud. But what was great about this movie, you didn't just see the horse going up into the cloud, they actually showed you the chariot. They showed the chariot, and that's one of the things I was worried about, is they just going to be showing a cloud the whole time. No, they actually showed a UFO. And before I even get any further, this is 2 Kings chapter 2, because there's something else that was really big. 2 Kings chapter 2, right, verse 11, it says, "And it came to pass, as they still went on and talked, that behold, there appeared a chariot of fire." That's what they are, chariots of fire. "And horses of fire, and parted them both asunder. And Elijah went up by a whirlwind into heaven." And this movie shows that so perfectly. It shows how it's adopting people, animals, and things by a whirlwind, which is a tornado, we know. So but we always say like it shoot down like a tractor beam and beam you up. That's possible too. But at the same time, this movie kind of opened my eyes up to it could come in the form of a tornado that come down, because they actually show how that works from the chariot as a form of abducting. And that makes sense if you can create that, because what happens if you get in a tornado, which hopefully none of us find out or none of us know about, but you get in a tornado and it spins you around, and you go up, and then it drops you, so it spits you out. So it's same thing, the chariot has that power to create that same technology, or that same whirlwind, to bring you up, but instead you go up into the UFO and the chariot. And that was so great. Verse 12, it says, "And Elisha saw it, and he cried, my father, the chariot of Israel." So what are these UFOs? They're called chariots of Israel, because Elisha he knew the name of it. He said, look, it's a chariot of Israel. "And the horsemen thereof," which is who? The angels, which we did not get to see that part in there. Maybe they come back with part 2. "And he saw him no more, and he took hold of his own clothes and rent them in 2 pieces." So speaking of, the angels and our Lord Yahushai, which I'm gonna get another precept to go. It was funny because you got to be able to catch these symbols when you're watching movies like this, right? So it was kind of interesting to see how she had a shirt on, and on the back of the shirt, I forgot exactly what it said, but it said Jesus something. So what does Jesus have to do with this movie that has nothing to do with church or religion? That's talking about a UFO cloaking itself in the clouds and pretty much terrorizing this little small city in little small form and beaming animals and people up. What does Jesus have to do with that? But she had a shirt that had Jesus. That's the message. They're showing you just exactly what I read. And we know the true name is Yahweh Shai in the Paleo Hebrew. Just like I read in Acts 1, you have to have the understanding. You have to been to ate the whole row to be able to watch these movies and discern and see these things. So what does Jesus have to do with this movie? What does Yahweh Shai have to do with this movie that's about UFOs? Well, Yahweh Shai went up into the UFOs. In Second Ezra chapter 13, Yahweh Shai is coming back with a gigantic UFO. Or right here, matter of fact, Revelation chapter 1, verse 7, it says, "Behold, he cometh with clouds." So read Revelations chapter 1, verse 7, right? And then go watch this movie, and then put it together. You're gonna be like, oh damn, he's right. That's how you know this is the truth, man. It's right here in front of your face. It says, "Behold, he cometh with clouds, and every eye shall see him, and they also which pierced him, and all kindreds of the earth shall well because of him. Even so, amen." Right? So this is letting you know, this movie right here is letting you know, okay, it's not actual clouds. There's something that's in the cloud. That's how the UFOs cloak themselves. They come. So when it says he's coming with clouds, this movie is answering for you that it's not an actual clouds he's coming with. He's coming with spaceships. He's coming with UFOs, which we just got the answer of the true name of them from Elisha in 2 Kings chapter 2. He's coming back with chariots of Israel, man. And then the last thing I seen was there's a lot of different symbols in this movie, but I seen how when the UFO came out, they was trying to get the perfect picture of it, because they was gonna hit big by getting that perfect picture. So that's what the movie was about, right? But the UFO was taking up all the cameras and everything, and stopping them, pretty much basically stopping them from getting video or cameras of it. And what does that remind you? Let's go back to the book of 2 Kings. What does that remind you of? That the UFOs, they kind of put it in this movie that the chariots are aware of people trying to get images and stuff like that, and they could show themselves to who they want to show themselves to, and who they don't want to, they don't have to. This is 2 Kings chapter 6, right? Verse 14, "Therefore sent he thither horses and chariots and great hosts, and they came by night and compassed the city about. And when the servant of the man of God was risen early and gone forth, behold, a host compassed the city both with horses and chariots. And his servant said unto him, Alas, my master, how shall we do? And he answered, Fear not, for they that be with us are more than they that be with them." Now watch this. "And Elisha prayed and said, Lord, I pray thee, open his eyes," right, "that he may see. And the Lord opened his eyes, and the young man, and he saw, and behold, the mountain was full of horses and chariots of fire round about Elisha." And that's the same thing that happened to Maccabees, Judah Maccabees, in the book of Maccabees, when the four horsemen came on each side, the chariots came on each side and protected him and shot out lightnings and beams and arrows and stuff like that. So it's actual spaceships, right? And then the last thing that I seen is they were saying that pretty much it was an animal, but they kind of try to put a spin on it and say that it was like some outer-worldly animal, but that could just, what animal that could just float in the sky in a cloud that doesn't move and just cloak itself in a cloud, right? But then it started to hit me and it made sense, because I was like, wait, so they was pretty much making it seem like it was alive. The chariot was actually alive, right? And then I said, oh shit, that makes sense, because when you look at your car, if you was living in the time of John the Revelator, or you had the mindset he had, the understanding, knowledge, and wisdom he had, and you seen a modern day Tesla, you would say that it's alive. You would say that it's a living beast or something, right? Because it could drive to you without you being in it. And if you is in it, then it could drive for you. It has all type of controls. You come to the door pops out, it opens, it reacts to your presence of you coming to the car. It got music. Some of these cars could move up and down and dance, and they have different technologies on them, just like my car. When it rains, I don't turn the windshield wipers on. There's a sensor. The windshield wipers come on and they go as fast or slow depending on how much rain is coming down. It's almost like it's alive. I forgot the word for it, but it's like something reality or something like that, Optimus reality, something like that on those terms, right? But it's damn near like it's alive, and then it'd be the same thing with your TV. You could command it by just talking to you. It could talk back to you. So technology is advancing where these technologies have these chips, which are their brains, where it's basically they're alive. And then imagine the technology the Lord has, or the power the Lord has. So a chariot, and that's why it calls him in Revelation chapter 4 the living beast. So a chariot, it's like it's alive, man. It is alive. It functions and could think on its own, just basically on its own, and do things and react on its own, man. If our cars could have that technology, right? What do you think a chariot? What type of power do you think a chariot of Israel could have? So that made sense. It is living. The actual UFO itself is living. But that's not too far fetched when you look at where our vehicles are at today. It's like your vehicle has a life of its own. It's living. So it made perfect sense to me. And this movie was great like that. It was a lot of eye opening things. And then later on in the movie, I guess something happened to the chariot and it kind of like shape shift and form to like a whole different type of gigantic form, pretty much, right? And it showed that because we've been hearing things about people having sightings of UFOs, and they may see one that might split into two. They may see three of them come together and be one big one. Yeah, because they could shapeshift. They don't have to be the same shape. They could change shapes and stuff like that. There's been reportings, if you look them up, of people seeing like octopus animals in the sky, like that had tentacles and octopus, and that's kind of how this chariot end up looking at the very end. But then they're gonna show a scene where it comes back together as like a disc. So it was like, okay, that could this movie is playing on those sightings, that people see, because the chariots don't have to just be one shape, one size, or one form. They could shapeshift. Whatever it's made out of, we don't know. We gonna find out, right? We gonna find out the technology behind it, or whatever it is. We gonna find out in the kingdom, right? But the abilities of the chariot, we are barely scratching the surface. We don't even know. And Esau doesn't know what he's getting himself into until he gets out there and get destroyed, right? So this is Esau's curse. These UFOs are gonna come back and go to war, with the angels in them. So this is the curse of Esau, the nuclear missiles and these chariots. That's what they're going to fight against, and they don't even know the technology. So they're going up against. So they end up getting the picture at the end or whatever. So it was a really good movie. It was interesting. It started out kind of slow, but not really. It's still interesting. It's like kind of funny, and then it really turns up. And I was proud that are happy to see that they actually showed the UFO and some of the things that it was could do. Man, when that UFO was like flying around that mountain like that close down on the mountain, it was just so fluent with it, man. That really hit me. I'm like, damn, man, them chariots. I kind of got a smile on my face, you know what I mean? Just to see that chariot dance around that big screen like that, because we know that's our salvation. Just like what happened to Elijah. That's how the elect is going to be saved during this time. They're going to go up by a whirlwind, or however it may be, into a chariot, just like Yahushua went up, into the chariot in Acts 1. And we gave you those accounts. So hopefully this has been edifying. This has been the review of the movie Nope. With that, I'm going to say, which when they said Nope, because they kept saying that in the movie, Nope, when he see it and he looked up and he seen that chariot, that gigantic chariot above him, and he couldn't see the sky no more, and it was just nothing but that chariot. He looked up out the car. He said, "Nope," and got back in the car. Me, I would have said, "Yep," and got out and bowed down. And it gave all praises to Yahweh Bahashem Yahweh Shai. Salvation to the elect. Shalom.